It's weird, but Seth and I are here on a Monday night. But we had to get this out of our system because on Wednesday we're doing our show on what are we doing? Oh, the Dracula, Universal Dracula movies. So I was like, we need to talk about Hellraiser. So here we are. Seth and I are going to discuss the new Hellraiser movie that dropped on Hulu on Friday. Seth did a review that's up at thehorrorsyndicate.com. Check that out. It's a good read. Uh, it's definitely, I got to be honest, that was one of my favorite articles you've written, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I liked it a
Yeah.
lot. It was a good read.
It
Uh,
wa- After I wrote it, I'm basically just telling the movie, but I don't know. I
that's
kind of,
fun. It's streaming. It's not like they have to go to the theater to see it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So, but yeah, we're here. We wanted to talk about some Hellraiser because I think I don't know if Jared saw it yet, but I know Nate liked it enough. I liked it a lot, and we're going to kind of talk about where it ranks on our list of Hellraiser movies and our list of 2022 movies. Wow, I'm already jumping ahead of you. How about that? So, but the thing is, with this show, we want to hear from you, whether it's good, whether it's bad. We want to know why you didn't like it if you didn't like it. We want to know why you liked it if you liked it. We'll pull the comments up on the screen. We'll comment on them. We'll tell us, our views. Seth has seen it 3 times now. I wish I have seen it 3 times because it's such a good movie. But I gotta watch all kinds of shit to catch up. Like watched I gotta watch Dracula's Daughter tonight, and I'm not looking forward to that. Did you watch your Dracula movies yet?
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
Well, at least it's three
I
hours of your life, basically.
well, I know the 1931 movie like
Sure.
the back of my hand, like
Yeah.
so I don't even need to. Um, Dracula's Daughter I've seen once, and I've seen Son of Dracula multiple times. But
Yeah. I don't remember liking Dracula's Daughter all that much, but I'm looking forward to giving it another shot. Uh, Brandon, you ready? Did you like the movie? Let us know if you like the movie. Also, don't forget to go to YouTube and subscribe to our page, our channel, all that good stuff, and follow the Horror Syndicate on Facebook. We just passed 20,000 followers. Thank you, everyone who is following the page now. I appreciate it. Seth appreciates it. And remember, there's all kinds of content on the horrorsyndicate.com. Tons. Also, before we get into the conversation, oh, Sean's here from across the pond. Uh, I really only seen the first one. Hulu's. Oh, that sucks, buddy.
yeah,
Oh, she was great. We'll get into that a little bit. Alex, I'm going to throw a picture up of you in a second. Today is October 10th, which is my wife's birthday. Her name is Elizabeth. She passed away in 2017 at the age of 35. And on October 10th, on her birthday, we celebrate the Horror Syndicate as the Horror Syndicate Day. If you have a Horror Syndicate shirt, you're supposed to wear the Horror Syndicate and send me pictures. The reason why is she is actually the person that came up with the whole idea of the Horror Syndicate. I was running a website called Nightfall Unlimited. It was going nowhere. And she's like, why don't you do something you're passionate about? And horror. I'm like, that's a good idea. And so I started planning everything out, and she helped me come up with names and different ways to do things. And so we definitely want to show our love for my wife, who passed away way too young, leaving behind my son and my daughter. Who at the time my daughter was 3 and my son was what 7, I think 6. He's about to turn 8. So tough times, but hey Scott, how you doing? Um, I've already subscribed. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it, man. But anyway, so a lot of people, followers, we do sell the shirts. It's not like we make a huge profit off of them. But I'm gonna go through some of the pictures. This is Chuck. He actually writes for the Horror Syndicate. David, one of our subscribers and followers, he's a great dude. And his hair is fucking long. I didn't realize how long his hair was. Uh, this is Keith. He used to be a part of the show. Jared is a part of the show and kind of a turd, but we love him. This is Aaron. He's got his own podcast, Sir Sturdy, I think is what it's called. So check him out, and he supports the team. I appreciate that. These are my kids, Reynolds and Helena, and they're rocking their Horror Syndicate shirts today, and they're playing Resident Evil outside in the other room. Awesome. Alex and his girlfriend, whose name escapes me. I'm sorry, dude. Uh, Also, you bought the backward
Shelby,
variant,
I think it is.
huh?
Shelby, I think it is.
Shelby. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Shelby. Then we've got this chud right here, who's got his lament configuration, all his Universal posters. Good looking guy, if you ask me. Oh, you can see your VHSs too. Oh, you bastard. Oh, I hate you sometimes. And then there's me, which I'm right here, so who cares? Anyway, so if you don't get a Horror Syndicate shirt, if you haven't, I'll share the link in the comments here if you want to get one. They're, I don't know, $20 maybe 15. I don't remember. But there's tons of colors. There's the Discourse logo. There's the regular logo. There's a Halloween logo. There's a Gay Pride logo. So check it out if you want. If you don't, well, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I have never heard so much interest, or never had so much interest. She was really good, and we're definitely going to get on that. Scott, have you seen the new Hellraiser? You could get NordVPN. I see that on YouTube videos all the time. Or Surfshark, one of those. Anyway, Seth, let's do this. Let's talk about Hellraiser.
All right.
And I want everybody else who's here. You got to talk about Hellraiser too. So first of all, going in, I was a little like nervous, cautiously optimistic, but kind of nervous. I'm not like a giant fan of the entire series. Like Seth, I think you probably are the resident Hellraiser, groupie. But I'm a huge fan of the first four for sure. I absolutely love the first two, and when I saw Hell on Earth for the first time, it was love at first sight. So, I love the series overall, and then there's some that are kind of under appreciated, like Hellseekers, not too bad, great ending. Inferno is one that people bitch about, and Inferno is actually pretty damn good. My only beef with that one, and you know what it is Inferno was not meant to be a Hellraiser movie, and they just kind of squeezed in Pinhead. But we'll talk about that in a minute. And then Judgment. I really like Judgment, and I got to meet the guy who played Pinhead in that, Paul T. Taylor. So this one I was a little worried because they really kind of got shitty direct to video. Now this is direct to streaming, but the trailer looked great. I know a lot of people were bitching about a female Pinhead, but she looked great, and I liked it a lot. You meant the first five. Yeah, sure. For the first five, all the way through Inferno. And Bloodline, I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, Seth, but Bloodline is starting to pick up steam. People are starting to really turn over on that one. I do like Bloodline quite a bit. I'd like to see a different cut of it because I know the studio got really involved in that and kind of, for bastards. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, there was a lot that they didn't get to shoot for that before the studio kind of meddled and Kevin Yeager quit.
Yeah, they used a different name. He took his name off the whole thing.
Yep.
Maybe there's an article in there somewhere. I'm just saying. Anyway, so Hellraiser 2022 finally dropped on my daughter's birthday, by the way, and I watched it, and I was it reminded me of when I went in to see Dawn of the Dead 04 and Amityville Horror and Texas Chainsaw 3 2003. I felt like I was like very nervous watching them and waiting for something to get bad. And for me, nothing ever got bad. So like, I liked it. I liked the flawed characters. I liked, you know what? I'm talking way too much. What did you like about it? Tell me your, like when you were watching it, how did you feel the entire time? Were you, pitching a tent or what?
Well, I mean, I was confident going into this one because as much as I enjoyed this franchise and the later sequels, knowing that this one was going to be the first one in a long time to be developed as a Hellraiser movie, because technically speaking, 5 through 10, really only Revelations was conceived as a Hellraiser movie.
Yeah.
A lot of the other ones were other scripts to begin with. And they didn't have much of a budget. They were just mostly kind of pushed out so the studio could keep the rights. And this time there was a studio involved that was willing to put money into it. and of course then they got David Bruckner
which was a good
to
get.
do it. And of course I didn't, at the time this was announced, I didn't see anything from him, but in the time since I saw The Night House, and
Night House is great.
I really liked that, and I felt really confident that
There was
this
Hellraiser vibes in that movie.
Oh, totally. Because that was actually originally a Hellraiser script that they
was it really?
Well, yeah, they were they've been fans for a long time. Dave Bruckner and his two writers there, and so there's a lot in The Night House that came from an original script that they had for a Hellraiser reboot. But then, of course, it didn't happen, so they changed some stuff up and all that. But that's the kind of the story behind that. But I felt like it was in good hands, and so I was really excited for it. I was very eager to get a trailer. They waited last minute to put out a trailer and really promote it up. And once they did, I got really excited. And I love this movie. I love this new movie a lot. I think it's really good. I think it's the best one since Hellbound.
1988, yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to answer Sean Sheridan's question. Hellraiser 3 is good, in my opinion. It's definitely Pinhead's movie, and it's way different from the first two. Anyway, go ahead, Seth.
I forgot already.
They did. I remember thinking to myself at one point, when's this trailer hitting?
Yeah.
It's like it dropped late September, and like leading up to that, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, well, they dropped like a teaser for the trailer, and before that, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, are they going to push this movie back?
Yeah.
This has been a good year for horror overall, 2022. Yeah. I want to see Hellraiser, and then this comes right after I found out they pushed the Evil Dead Rise back because they're putting it in the theater. Which, thank you, I'd like to see this in the theater, honestly.
I wish.
Yeah, but so I'm thankful I was able to see it anyway. But yeah, it's like, where the fuck's the trailer? It's just like the Halloween Ends trailer. A lot of people are like, where's this trailer? And I got to see the Halloween Ends trailer on the big screen, by the way, the other night.
Oh, cool.
I got those that like I haven't been excited about the movie until then. I went and saw Smile, which was pretty good. Very much It Follows vibes, and something else I can't remember. But yeah, that trailer came up and I'm like, I'm ready now. Yeah. So like, yeah, I'm ready to watch Halloween and Halloween Kills again. But anyway, yeah. So yep, Barbarian is awesome. Barbarian. So we were talking about that, where these movies rank. And I've got a ranking for the 2022 movies, and right now Hellraiser's number 3 on mine out of 28 movies. We're talking Scream 5, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Barbarian, Pearl, X, Nope, all these different movies, and tons from Shudder. And right now Barbarian's my number 1, and number 2, I can't remember now. I'd have to look.
Black Phone, I think.
Huh? Oh, the Black Phone. Yeah, this has been a fucking tremendous year for horror. I mean, there's been some good stuff. Yeah. I cannot wait. Like, I don't like time to pass by fast, but I'm really looking forward to our end of the year show when we do the top 30 of 2022 or whatever we're doing, because I cannot wait to see where these fall with everyone else. Because you and I like the Black Phone. Nate did not at all. He's like, I've seen kids talk on the phone with ghosts before. I'm like, have you? I don't remember. Anyway, and then our tastes are wildly different. Now, you put Hellraiser where on your 22 list?
Cue the laugh. I put it at number 1.
Number 1, yeah. When I saw that, I was like, really?
I mean, this is really like you said, there's a lot of great horror movies of 2022.
Yeah.
And this is, for me, this is one where I felt like I had to watch it again right after.
Mm-hmm. That's the tell of a good movie, though, too, is like, oh, I want to watch that again. If it wasn't 2:00 in the morning, I would have watched it again. But
on the flip side, just to be fair here, I'm a very excitable fanboy.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
I got excited when Judgment came out, and so take that as you will. I'm a huge fan of this franchise as a whole, and I was just really happy with the film that we got here. So
There's
yeah.
there's a lot of I mean, I feel like, well, I know how much of a fanboy you are. Like, I can't imagine what's going to happen if they release another Howling movie, especially if it's theatrical. But like knowing you for however long, 3 or 4 years now, I mean, I know how excited you get about things like Halloween, especially. I know Halloween is your thing more than anything. But it's hard to say that because you have a lot of things that are your thing. I mean, look at all those posters behind you, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I know how excited, and then you're the one that like I said it leading up. I was like, yeah, we're gonna get to re-rank all the Hellraiser movies. This is great. And you're like, I can't wait to reach. Like, well, you're the one who's putting the new ranking on the website, not me. That's gonna be yours. You're the more the Hellraiser guy than I am. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the other thing is I re-ranked mine, and this is just exactly what you said, the best since 1988, since Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to movies like Bloodline or Hell on Earth or Inferno, but this movie hit on every level, and it felt more like a Hellraiser movie than most of the movies. Am I wrong in saying that?
Oh yeah, yeah. And one of the great things about it too, I know 3 and 4, Hell on Earth and Bloodline did this as well, but one of the things I didn't really expect with this new movie.
Sorry. I like that comment. I watched Barbarian. That took my mom to see Barbarian. She wasn't happy. I like that.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What was I saying?
What's the name of that movie? The name with Jocelyn
Off-
Donahue.
Off season.
Off season. Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. That's on Shudder. Go ahead.
Oh, what I wasn't really expecting, and one of the things I really loved about this new one too, is how the score used a lot of Christopher Young's themes from the first two, and they've been missing since. I mean, the last one to do it was Bloodline.
Yeah, that's right.
So it was, and I never expected to hear it again with Hellraiser, and it just fits so well with this world.
I heard a hint of that, and I'm like, I stopped and I rewound. I'm like, oh my god! And I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to, like, the whole time I was watching it. And now I have a rule when I watch a new movie, even at home, I put my phone down. I don't talk on my phone. I don't look at my phone. If I do, it's to check, like, where do I know that actor from? And I pause the movie then. But with Hellraiser, all I wanted to do was get on our horror syndicate chat and be like, oh my god, they use the score for, kind of like use the score from the original movies, and I'm like, Seth hasn't watched it yet. I actually had to block Seth off of my Facebook post when I re-ranked everything because I didn't want him to get spoiled by how I ranked it. I didn't want him to have any outside influence going in to watching the movie, because I know, like, if something drops at midnight on Netflix or Shudder or whatever, or Hulu, it's all over Facebook. I mean, you can't escape it, no matter if it's good or bad or what, or it's just all over Facebook. So if you're waiting till the next day, like, I have to see Halloween Ends immediately, as early as I can, because otherwise it's going to get fucking ruined on Facebook. So that's why I had to I unblocked you from that since then. But I was like, I don't want Seth to see my rankings because he'll know how good this movie is, and I want him to have his own perspective rather than thinking, well, Ray liked it. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it, man. That was the one thing I was watching when I was watching. I was like, I hope Seth likes this, because I loved it. It was good, man. It was really the Hellraiser on Hulu is absolutely good. One of the things I wanted to discuss is what the hell is wrong with, like, I can't imagine why people don't like this movie. Like, what are you seeing out there that people are bitching about?
There's a lot of stuff. Like, it's a little tough to navigate because you do have people who gave it a shot and they legitimately have reasons why they don't like it. Then there's also people out there whose reviews were already written before this movie was.
Oh yeah.
You know, and some of the complaints I can totally see. Like, for example, the character of Riley isn't necessarily likable. Now, as a longtime fan of this franchise, I know that this franchise isn't known for having really likable characters.
Was Frank likable?
Aside from Kirsty Cotton.
Right? Yeah, I mean, Frank and Julia, they were villains. I mean, they were unlikable. What the cop in Inferno was unlikable.
he was, yeah, like he was the most selfish guy. Like if
Oh
you think
yeah.
if you think Riley is anything bad, then watch Inferno.
Well,
By the way, I love Inferno. Just want to point that out.
these are staples of characters in Hellraiser, though. You get these imperfect people who are kind of shitty. Like she was an opportunistic drug addict who was going through the 12-step program or whatever, and she was having sex with her sponsor or something like that. I think is
From
is
what
that
I
what
get,
he
no,
was?
he was a part of that.
Oh, he was
Like
in the group too.
he was in the group too.
Yeah, and then they like I don't know. I didn't hate her at all. I saw what she was and the dynamic with her brother. It was really kind of more real in my opinion than some of the other shit you see in some of these movies. She left the house and she was gonna go live on the street because her brother was done with her bullshit. I mean, and in my opinion, she was well acted too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely a good performance there, and I think the thing with her is, I mean, it's really kind of a staple of Clive Barker is that
Nice.
his characters are very flawed
Yeah.
anyway.
Hmm.
And if she wasn't flawed, if she didn't make all these mistakes, she'd be accused of being a Mary Sue.
Right.
So it's tough, but like I could see where her character and with all the mistakes she makes, where people aren't gonna like her.
Well, we live in a society where you have like the lead is supposed to be this charming, thing that
Yeah,
everybody likes. But I mean, have you seen a horror movie? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
there's a lot of movie like nobody liked the leads in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. I honestly, if I and I like I said before, I got to rewatch Scream 5, but I didn't like the lead in that movie either. I'm like, and I got to put up with her for another movie. I think, you
Yeah,
know.
probably another
So,
two.
ugh. But no, I liked her Riley quite a bit actually as what she was going through. And one of my favorite scenes in the movie is actually, she's trying to find her brother because he was taken or well killed really. That's a spoiler. Sorry, we're gonna let me slow down here. I know that there's people who haven't seen this movie yet. It's on Hulu, ready to go. But here's spoilers just in case. Her brother dies, and that's kind of the motivation for her with the limit configuration, and she goes to this house that this guy's been studying the limit configuration in the Cenobites, and there's all this shit, which was really fucking cool. He even, you know what? I found a picture of that somewhere, but like he even figured out what all the configurations are for, which was awesome in my opinion. So, but yeah, like I have seen people bitching about Jamie Clayton as Pinhead because it's a female. Did you guys know? This is probably bad. She was a guy at one time too, like Jamie Clayton.
Yeah.
Also, Pinhead is sexless in the book, if I'm not mistaken. It's just the Hell Priest, and the way she carried herself in the movie was very haunting. The way she moved, the almost expressionless look on her face, and then what they did with her voice was, I mean, it's almost like nobody can replace Robert Englund as Freddy. Nobody could replace Doug Bradley. Well, that might be true, but she did a great job. If you try to separate Doug Bradley from Pinhead and just say, okay, this is a new Pinhead for a new generation, she was fantastic.
That's the thing with this too. That's the great thing with Hellraiser too is that Elliot Spencer wasn't always the only Hell
Hell
Priest,
Priest, yeah.
right? Like you said in say the Hellbound Heart, they were sexless beings. And then there's even a paragraph in the Scarlet Gospels where Pinhead, the Hell Priest, kind of muses about the previous people who have had that mantle and that how he wasn't the first and he won't be the last to be that, to be the Pinhead, the Hell Priest.
Well, yeah, and to go a little further, if you ever read any of the comics,
Right.
Kirsty becomes Pinhead, and I mean, she's wearing white. She looks awesome. Actually, if you look at my ranking of the of the Hellraiser movies, there's a picture of her on our website, thehorrorsyndicate.com. But yeah, exactly. And this, then in a way, other than the fact that they kind of change the lament configuration a little bit. This could just fall in line with any other of the Hellraiser series because there's really no continuity with them anyway, except the first four. And this could just be another Hellraiser sequel if they would just put a different name on it. But, you know, I think it's fine.
They would have to have something though where they would indicate that somewhere along the way, because I don't really believe LeMerchant would make another box,
Right.
quite like, especially the one that's in this movie. So it would easily be assumed that, the design went to another inventor and made a new version of that, so it could technically fall in line if they do it that way, because especially like when in the comics, when Kirsty was tricked into becoming the Hell Priestess, she kind of, if I remember correctly, when she made new Cenobites, she kind of changed the look of them all, right? Didn't they all kind of wear the white?
Yeah, they look completely different. Yeah.
So you could assume that, and even say for whether they follow the comics or whether they follow the Scarlet Gospels, in which Lucifer kills Pinhead in that this version played by Jamie Clayton was someone else who got the mantle after Elliot Spencer died.
What about this? Let me just throw this at you. What if the lament configuration had a mind of its own and it could not decided, but it started to change the way it, is in the way, what I'm saying? Like that's one of the things I liked was it wasn't just a box anymore. It's not even really the lament configuration anymore either. It's, it's because that's one of the configurations.
Yeah.
He has never seen Inferno. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Nate's seen a lot of them. He was going to join us tonight, but he wanted to watch. There he is. He's here. Wanted to watch Hellraiser again. Nate, tell him what you think of Hellraiser. I think it's number 11 on his list for 2022, 11 or 12. But yeah, like that's one of the things I wanted to get into also with you is all the different configurations there are now, because the box started as a box and then it transforms into different configurations, and which I guess does that depend on the person, or does it just go through a cycle?
It just goes through a cycle.
Okay. Yeah, because I know the Leviathan configuration, which was really cool. That drawing of Leviathan, like I want that in this room.
Yeah.
Not going to happen, but I thought that was really cool that they came up with ones for love and like I don't remember what they all are. Do you remember them?
The lament is life. Lore is knowledge. Laurent or something like that is what the hell is it?
Let's see if I can find those.
Love. Liminal is sensation. Lazarus is resurrection, and Leviathan is power.
Which turns into a Cenobite, right?
Right, and that's yeah. Are we doing spoilers?
Well, I already said one spoiler, so I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Well, it's been out for a few days, and everybody who has Hulu's seen it, except for Sean Sheridan, who doesn't have Hulu because he lives in the UK.
Yeah.
No, let's just keep it. Let's keep it kosher. I'm trying to see if I can find what they are, but anyway, yeah, it's the box transforms into different ways per configuration. I guess it just goes through the cycle, like Seth was saying, but they're all really interesting. Matter of fact, the first time you see it, it's like this. It's really interesting looking, and you didn't expect. Let's get into the story a little bit, because that's one of the things I really liked was the rich guy, Voight, whatever his name was.
Voight. Yep.
Having somebody else be his guinea pig, if you will, and I like that while the guy was getting, and so this is in the trailer. While the guy is getting pulled into hell by chains, he's just bullshitting with somebody, like letting it happen. Which I thought was a really cool scene. The opening scene, and that's another thing, with me, a lot of times the opening's got to grab me. If the opening doesn't grab me, I'm out, and not completely out, but sometimes it's hard to come back from that. And the opening of the 2022 Hellraiser on Hulu was really fucking great, in my opinion.
I really liked the Voight character.
Yeah, I do too.
He was not quite the level of like Frank and Julia or even
No.
Dr. Chenard, but he was in that league, right? And they even
I got Chenard vibes from him, because after when Riley got into that room and he's been studying them, Dr. Chenard was kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah. So, the interesting thing with him is, like, before we even meet him, we get a little piece of information that kind of tells us about him. When his lawyer goes to meet up with the guy in the beginning for the box,
yeah,
the guy says that, I wish Mr. Voight was here himself. And she says that he will never do something he could pay others to do for him. And that really kind of like, adds into his whole thing where he gets other people to fiddle with the box and activate the different configurations. And it's also kind of necessary too, because this version, they need sacrifices.
Yeah, and he's sacrificing people to get to that configuration he wants.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Which was really cool. Also, I didn't know you could sacrifice a Cenobite. What'd you think of that? I don't know if people heard me, but
they got the wrong one.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But anyway, yeah, his character is really cool, kind of complex, but not, and especially later on in the movie, when you find out like what he wanted, and when he that's spoilers.
I know.
By the way, if you want to get a Horror Syndicate t-shirt, here's the link right there. Check it out. Tons to choose from. Anyway, yeah, like, fuck, man, I'm having trouble not wanting to spoil this. I'm used to talking about movies that have been out for so long, like we can spoil the shit out of Dracula. It's been out almost 100 years.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, that was a good character, and that was a good start to the movie. And then after that, you meet Riley 6 years later, also, because Voight goes missing. And I can hear my kids out there. Can you hear them? They're so loud. Anyway, they're playing Resident Evil together. So yeah, like, her introduction was pretty good because she was getting fucked. Like, I'm sitting there watching it, and Helena's in there watching it with me, and all of a sudden I was like, it's bedtime. I had to pause it because she's getting hit pretty hard. And then the guy's like, I love you. Do you think he really loved her?
I think so.
Because he was using her at the same time, though.
He was like that. That's the thing, is it's hard to say, because it kind of seemed like there was moments where he seemed like he was a good guy. I don't want to say anything. I
know, right? Like, there's a lot of what he was trying to do. Like, he wouldn't even, like, when they got to the bot, he wouldn't even touch the fucking limit configuration at all. You remember when he was trying to get it away from her, he was covered it up in a jacket or something, or a shirt or something like that. But like, yeah, so this movie's really good. There's a good twist. You don't expect what's going to happen with a certain character. The house that they feature in the movie is so fucking cool. It, like, basically in the story, they get to this house where she's trying to figure out where her brother is based on, the box and who had it before her. And when they get there, the house is in a cage, which I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? This house is in a cage. And then she finds all this information about the studying of the Cenobites and the limit configuration. And the house was really fucking cool because, the house is at the very beginning of the movie too. I just thought that was some kind of like museum or something like that, but it was this guy's house. What you think of the house?
It was really cool. I liked how the roof of that one room sort of like resembled the lament configuration
Yeah,
design. Um,
had a
and
big
that's
opening for Leviathan.
yeah, and I mean I want to get that gate for my house. That'd be
Yeah, no
great.
shit. You wouldn't have to worry about home invasion.
Right, but I wouldn't have to worry about a house fire.
Okay, there you go. Well, the a couple things I did want to definitely chat about is the presence of the Cenobites. Um, First of all redesigned, very organic, if you will, because it just looks like their flesh was distorted in many ways. Like, in the original movies, they're all wearing this leather, and they have like distortions all over their face or body or whatever, pins in their head, or no eyes and a chattering mouth, or stuff like that. But in this one, they go all out. Like, I couldn't find a good body shot of Jamie Clayton as Pinhead. But like, and also like, I like that the pins have like pearls on the end of them. I think that's really cool. Now, you know what? Vince DeSanti talked to me about this the other day. He was bitching about the lighting in this movie. Forgot to tell you about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's like, "Where's the strobe effect?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because like, what's this one called? Gasp.
The gas. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, she looks really cool. The Chatterer, who I couldn't find a good picture, looked really cool. And then there was two other ones, or was it just one?
Now there's also the mask. There was the mother and the asphyx.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of them. There was only four in the original movie, and yeah, they all looked really great, I thought. And I can't wait. I hope they make a sequel. I hope there's a way, like, you can see her a little bit better here. Her flesh on her shoulders is peeled off and around her neck, and then she's got again, she's got the what is that, the Freemason symbol on her chest.
Yeah.
It actually goes a little bit further than that, but excuse me. They look really great, and their presence was terrifying on the screen. If this was the first ever Hellraiser movie, I think this movie would have killed. I think it would have killed. I think everybody would have loved it. But can't most people can't separate Doug Bradley. And then, of course, this is the only other picture I could find. This is Riley in one of the configurations of the box. So, do we not call it the lament configuration anymore?
That's the funny thing is I had trouble with that when I did that newest article because I kept referring to it as the lament configuration, but then I also talked about the other configurations.
Yeah, because there are multiple configurations of the lament configuration. I guess it's just a puzzle box now, whereas before it was always called the lament configuration. Although I don't know that they've said it very much on the screen, have they?
No, I don't think so. And I mean, even in you could call it Lemerchant's configuration because Clive actually called it that at a couple points in the Hellbound Heart. So
I did not know that. I've never read the Hellbound Heart. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna pretend.
Well, I mean, it's if you've seen Hellraiser, you know it all pretty much. I mean, there's very few differences. Actually, the first movie kind of expands on it. But basically, what you see here in this new movie with the sort of the look and design of the Cenobites, with it being their like torn and flayed flesh, being their clothing. That's from the Hellbound Heart. The pins having the what pearls or whatever on the top. That was from the Hellbound Heart. I don't remember where I was going with this.
No, it's cool that that there are things like from the Hellbound Heart that are present. It's just the only thing they couldn't do is the story, which I'm kind of glad they didn't rehash the old story from the first movie. I love the first movie and everything, but we didn't need to see. That's that to me. Seeing Kirsty recast would bother me. Even maybe seeing Frank recast, even though that guy's not that big of a player, or Julia really. But like the
Julia made
one of the things I want to see from another Hellraiser movie is I like the skinless people. Like when Frank didn't have any skin, or Julia. It's one of the things I kind of miss from those older movies.
and we had a little glimpse of that in like one scene in this new one, and I just wish that every time they showed this particular character, they showed him as skinless as opposed to what he looked like, you know, prior to disappearing.
Mm, that would have been cool.
But there's like one scene where she's hugging someone,
The back, yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, I know. Like that gave me hope, but I don't know. This really so. I'm going to get to that also in a second, but this really gives me hope that we're going to get a whole new run of Hellraiser movies, and maybe because the other movie that was released on Hulu that was fucking great that should have been theatrical was Prey,
yeah.
and I would have loved to see that in the theater. How about how great was that movie? But hopefully, maybe Hulu will figure out a way to do that, because that's the other thing is they're not released on physical media, which really sucks. Because I got this great what?
Well, it's a possibility, right? Because at the end of the day, this is owned by Spyglass and 20th Century Studios, and not to mention Hulu has released 11/22/63 and both seasons of Castle Rock.
Yeah.
So there is a possibility.
I'd love it because I want a copy of this on Blu-ray to add to my collection. Even though I don't have the Blu-rays of the first three movies, which are right behind me. Also the Scarlet collection. Yeah, pride of my collection. But yeah, no, I really I don't know what else to say, because what we're gonna do is get into spoiler territory, and I really don't want to spoil it for anybody who watches this or who is watching. But I 100% approve of this movie. It was the best Hellraiser movie since 1988 for sure. So we're talking 34 years, and 9 other movies. This is the best one since then. And Jamie Clayton was great. I thought her name escapes me. I thought Riley was pretty damn good and convincing lead, and a lot of good side characters. And if you have a problem with gay stuff, then you're gonna have a problem with this. So, because there's a gay couple in it, and
it was handled really well though. Like
I thought so, yeah.
Like it was never to the point where they brought it up. There was no stereotypes with it. They just existed as actual people.
Yep.
There wasn't any type of agenda or pushed. Like they didn't have any dialogue that made them seem like they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and yeah, it wasn't thrown in your face really. And so after seeing this and the Night House, I really cannot wait to see more from Bruckner. This guy could become a horror heavyweight, kind of like so James Wan. I mean, James Wan's gonna be hard to. I'm just saying, him and Dr. Sleep director. God, what's his name?
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah, Mike Flanagan. I mean, we're getting some really good horror directors these days, and it's great because I think there were a few in the last 20 years or so, but that was one thing you remember from back in the 70s and 80s. You had names like Tobe Hooper and John Carpenter and Wes Craven, and nowadays, or in the last 20 years, I mean, Nate probably had there's tons of them, he'll rattle off like 30 of them, but there's none that really stick out like James Wan does, or even Flanagan. And I think that's great because I know you and Nate both, and Jared too, like to follow certain directors. And I've never been that way, but I'm starting to kind of become that way. If Flanagan puts something out, I'm watching it. And same thing with James Wan. He puts something out, I'm watching it. Bruckner, I like it. The 2 movies I've seen him direct, I'm gonna watch this next one for sure.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you smoking?
Yeah.
Just smoke on screen. This isn't an official THS episode. Unless you're smoking something else, my friend.
No, saving that for later.
Fucking burnout.
What, man? You got any Doritos? You can eat that hot dog?
Anyway, so if you had to grade it on what would you grade this movie? I know it's your number 1 for the year, but give it a RT score.
fuck. You go first.
I mean, the bad thing about Rotten Tomatoes, I think they gave it a 70. Let me look. They gave it a pretty high score, if I'm not mistaken. But I would give it a pretty decent score. I mean, if you take into account horror, which I think a lot of people do when they rate stuff, I think it's got a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.2 on IMDb. I don't know, 85%. No,
Sounds fair. I mean, it sounds fair. It's
Yeah.
not a perfect movie by any.
No, it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
But I will say the production value of the movie was great compared to the last 9 or 8 or 7, whatever. It looked great. It sounded great. It brought back that original elements of that original score. I loved the changes that they made. Did not like ruin anything for me at all. Between the change of Pinhead, the Cenobites were a little bit different in my opinion than they normally are, and they're all, well, 2 of them were really vocal, and then I like the setting, and I like the unlikable characters. I think it's a great movie. I think it's one of the top. It's definitely in the top 10 of the year. It's in my top 5. So,
I mean, I personally loved it. I love all the different. I felt like all the different changes that they made with the lore and with the box itself.
they're making it its own thing.
Yeah, and it was kind of refreshing for the series, right? Because we got so stuck in this world where everything is just kind of the same. So they changed stuff up a little bit, and it kind of makes it it kind of made it a little more interesting. One of the complaints too I've seen that I do agree with is that it does kind of feel like it's Hellraiser light in terms of the gore. You know what I mean? Like, oh, did you? I don't know what's going on. But like in terms of the gore and the grit of it, it's definitely not like, it doesn't have that feel of the other ones. Like especially the first 2, there's a lot of stuff that's like, so like grotesque and
Touch
stuff
my
like
camera
that.
cord.
Oh, and it kind of makes you cringe a little bit, like especially in the second film. There's the guy cutting the imaginary bugs off him. That always makes me kind of cringe a little bit.
That's one of the best scenes in that movie.
Yeah, and this new one, they were very like sort of like I would say conservative on the violence and the gore. They were artistic with choices of having people just kind of, I don't know, just kind of like insinuate that they died and not show it. When someone gets when people get ripped apart, it doesn't seem as painful as say the earlier films in the franchise. You know what I mean?
Jesus wept.
That he
Talk
did.
about painful. That looked painful.
Yeah, but he was very positive about it. He had a big old smile. This guy count for something.
That's true. Yeah. You gotta love Frank anyway. Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. I mean, there's some really gory moments in the original movie, especially like Frank's, coming back after Larry drops his blood. That scene is, first of all, one of the best things I've ever seen on screen, and it was really gross, and then him walking around with no skin on for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, in Hellbound, they got that guy who just cut himself with razor blades, and Julia's arms pop out and legs, and she starts like sucking on him. It's so gross, but it's also like quite like one of the best scenes in that movie, if not the best. So yeah, I think the gore was toned down, but there were some good moments though in the movie that were not like vintage Hellraiser, but pretty good.
Yeah, and just to elaborate a little bit more, like what I mean by that is like, as someone who's watched the entire franchise a lot of times and who knows this franchise a lot, it's the gore and the violence in the new ones seem tame in comparison. But if you're someone who's not very familiar with them, or if this is your first Hellraiser movie, it probably could. Just my perspective is it was light in comparison to the previous ones, but it didn't stop my enjoyment because obviously I love this movie.
Yeah, I did too. Dan Johnson says it's his number 5 of the year. How's Alice? By the way, Dan, he feels the need for speed. Anyway, that was his last name, wasn't it? No, Alice's last name was Johnson. Damn it.
Yeah, you're thinking of Dan Jordan.
Dan Jordan, yeah. So anyway, another bad joke for Ray. I'm gonna go fuck off and die as the host now. Anyway, yeah, number 5 is a good spot for it. I'm curious, anybody who's watching of the films released in 2022, what is your number 1 on your list? Mine right now is Barbarian. Seth's is Hellraiser. Nate's was Barbarian the other day, but I think he changed it since then, didn't he?
I thought Nope was always his number 1.
Was it Nope?
Yeah, I know he's big on Nope.
Yeah. But yeah, curious to know what everybody's number 1 is and where Hellraiser might fall on your list. As of right now, on my Hellraiser ranking list of the 11 movies, it's number 3. Dan says his is Nope also. Okay. That's good. Nope was a good movie. It's not my favorite Jordan Peele movie, though. We talked about that earlier. I think Us is my favorite of the 3 movies. Anyway, so is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap her up today?
No, I mean, just, I like what they did here, and as a fan, I'm satisfied. I'm actually a little disappointed we didn't get anyone who didn't like it to comment.
I know. That's weird. Like, I know on our Facebook, well, hold on. You know what we need to do? Go to our Facebook page and look at some of the comments from your review, because that'll I think there was some negative ones on there.
Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. People don't like it, they don't like it. But.
I mean, yeah, I mean, your opinion's your opinion, or their opinion's their opinion, or whatever. But like, I think this was good. I was pleasantly surprised. Excuse me, Jesus. Where's the fucking? When did I post that? Oh my God, there's like 1,000 posts before that one.
I think it was Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Sunday morning. Yeah, okay, so. Well, one guy said he got. Did you see the guy got banned from a Hellraiser group?
Yeah,
for posting his opinions and they were negative. And like the official Hellraiser page or some shit like that.
I mean, I saw the pictures he put up, and it didn't seem like anything he said was bad. It seemed like it was a fair critique. He just personally didn't like it. But.
Yeah, not to mention it was his opinion.
But right. I mean, okay, I'm in a few Hellraiser fan groups, and
yeah,
it's been. It's kind of like war between the people who love it and who hate it.
Is it really?
It kind of feels that way, It's just like no one wants to talk about why they love or why they hate. It's just like, I love it. Fuck you. I hate it. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna read some of these comments real fast.
No one can understand.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. All right, John Neer says complete shite. Woke rehash of the 2 only good Hellraisers to date. Laughable rubbish, especially when legendary lines are regurgitated as a nod to the originals. I expected it to be crap. In that way, it exceeded my expectations.
Man, that's the thing. Like, I don't understand how people can like want something to be crap.
Yeah, I know. It's like you're already rooting against it. I mean, that's a problem right away, right there. Eric Beardshear says it was good, not great. May rewatch to see if it sticks better. Okay. Alan Shook says I went in with low expectations and it ended up being about where I thought it would be. Call me old school, but for me, Doug Bradley is synonymous with Pinhead. Everyone else that has played the role has failed. I don't think everyone has failed. I agree with the synonymous as Pinhead, but I think she made it her own, even though she did regurgitate a couple lines. But I thought that was kind of cool.
I mean, that's kind of standard for reboots these days anyway.
Yeah. Dana Bobena says it was better than the Munsters remake for sure. Ty Miller says it was decent. Elvis Perez says it was terrible. Nathan Jones says I wasn't blown away. Have to say we have such mediocre sites to show you. All right, I like that. That was funny, but okay. Kurtwood Campbell says I enjoyed it. Jamie did an amazing job as Pinhead. Would like to see more entries with her. Overall, very pleased, but 1, 2, and 4 remain my favorites in the franchise. See, there you go. Bloodline gets some love. This new being is my number 4 spot. Okay. So that's good. I mean, that's not a bad place for it to be.
No.
And then this one just says I'm hearing very mixed things about it. Yeah, I mean, movies these days are becoming very divisive, where they're splitting fan bases in half, and it's really, which Scott commented on something that I couldn't see on here. Which Hellraiser had Terry Farrell and Paula Marshall?
3.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the thing here on out. Like, we never heard this stuff before because there wasn't social media. You actually had to find other fans littered throughout the world to talk about these with. Now, everybody has a voice, and we're hearing the voice, and it's going to get bad next week, folks. Next week, it's going to be just as bad. Like, I remember last year when Halloween Kills came out. Now Halloween Ends comes out next week, and so we're going to hear all kinds of shit about this movie, especially it being the last one. And you'll be hearing from us the following Wednesday. We're doing our Halloween Ends review show.
We going round 2, Ray?
No, I got to tell you, and I thought about you the other day when I was thinking about this. So when we came out of seeing Smile, they were showing Halloween Kills at the theater for $5, and it was going to start in like 5 minutes. I was like, oh damn, I want to see this again in the theater. And I'm like, wait a second. Is Halloween Kills growing on me? I think it is. I think my rank. I can't wait to re-rank the Halloween movies because I think it's going to change. I think Halloween Kills is growing on me more so than last year. I was like, the ending really pissed me off with them beating the living shit out of Michael Myers, and he got up and just took care of business like nothing else. That bothered me. Out of everything in the rest of the movie, that's the thing that bothered me the most. But I think I'm getting past that, and I'm really looking forward to. Like I said, I saw that trailer. And I was like, fuck, I'm ready for some Halloween now. I'm ready. Like, all I want to do is watch Halloween movies now, even though I got to watch Dracula stuff. Speaking of, on Wednesday this week, we're talking about Dracula. We're talking about Dracula's daughter. And we're talking about the son of Dracula. And maybe the House of Dracula, if I can watch that one. If you can watch that one. Nate, if you're out there, did you watch that one? Dracula. This is my favorite Universal horror movie. Anyway, anything else you want to say about Hellraiser 2022 Hulu?
No, I think I said it.
So you would recommend it?
Yeah, I would recommend it, especially if you want to go into it open-minded. I mean, I when I watched it, I didn't expect Doug Bradley.
No,
so
I haven't expected him in a long time.
Yeah, so
he's been out of the roles for 17 years now.
Yeah. So it is what it is. As a fan of this franchise, maybe I'm biased, but I absolutely loved it.
I did too. I definitely recommend seeing it on Hulu if you can. If not, if it comes out physically, buy a copy. I'm going to buy it if I can figure out a way to do that. And then the last thing I want to say before we go is thanks again for anybody who showed the support for the Horror Syndicate on Horror Syndicate Day. We got Chuck, David, Keith, Jared, this fool, Aaron, my kids. How cute. Yeah, and those are my swords. Anduril and Narsil from Lord of the Rings. Myself, I respect, but look, it almost looks like my shoulder's coming from my shoulder. And Alex and Shelby. Thank you guys for all getting Horror Syndicate shirts. I really appreciate the love and support on the day of my wife's birthday, who passed away uh, 5 years ago. If you want to get a Horror Syndicate shirt, the link is in the comments here. Go check them out. We've got the pumpkin skull, the regular skull. We've got a pride shirt, all kinds of good stuff, different colors. And then one last thing I want to mention is Jamie Clayton killed it as Pinhead, the second best Pinhead of the four. Although I did like Paul T. Taylor quite a bit. He did good. What bothers me is I really would like to see what happened after that movie. Like the way that movie left off, like they were doing away with Pinhead completely. And you know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to see what was going to be next.
I did too, because I did like Judgment a lot, even though it is lower on my ranking list, as you see when I finally submit it. But I felt like it ended in an interesting spot. I really do wish that it ended with the auditor asking Pinhead, you know, what's going to come next because of what just happened.
Yeah.
Instead of, you know, I wish they didn't have that whole ending with the clouds and Paul T. Taylor in human form, because I thought that'd be a kind of a great setup for another movie where they have to face the consequences for killing an angel.
Yeah, I think that would have been cool, and it kind of gives me the Halloween Resurrection vibes, where you know it's at the end of Halloween Resurrection. I know it's a bad movie, but you know Michael Myers is back on the loose. You know, so there's a question that needs to be answered. Same thing with Halloween 6. You know, it's like this is the end of it. You know, and now that's the end of that line of Hellraiser. Now we got a new Hellraiser series. Hopefully, we get a couple more.
Yeah, that's the funny thing too, is because like I did like Paul T. Taylor as Pinhead,
I did too,
and I wanted to see more of him. But at the same time, I can't feel too upset that we're not getting any direct-to-video sequels from Miramax.
Yeah,
you know, like
well, especially now that we've got this movie, you can't feel too upset. But and what isn't there supposed to be like a show on HBO?
Well, they announced that a while ago, and this was before they started production on the movie. This is before they before Clive Barker got the rights back, pretty much. So who knows? There hasn't really been any movement on it since, like, because originally it was David Gordon Green was going to be directing some episodes, starting with the pilot, and of course then. Since then, you know, there's been no movement on this, and he's gone on. He's doing The Exorcist.
So I'm very curious about.
Yeah. So who knows what's going to happen with that? I don't know. Hellraiser series would be. I don't know.
I don't know that. Like, I could see it work. Like if they took the original movie. Original story and made it into like a series and fleshed it out, they could do that. But it's another one. Like I remember when they talked about doing a Friday the 13th series, I'm like, why? You know, that's kind of my reaction when I heard there was gonna be a Hellraiser series. I'm like, why? You know, and then Hellraiser, as many movies as it has, and it has a fan base, it's not one of those that can carry a weekly series. Like I'm honestly surprised Chucky can. But
that's the thing where I'm like understanding why this is Hulu and not theaters, because the Hellraiser franchise has never been like a big box office draw. You know what I mean?
Hellraiser always has been like the wrong turn for me. You hear about the sequels, you want to run for the hills. In a sense, they are so bad you stay away from the franchise. Yeah. Well, there's some wrong. You like the wrong turn movies, don't you?
I like the first one and I like the reboot.
The new one's really good, actually.
I kind of like 2 and 3, but
they were really low budget. Like
extremely low, but like
super indies.
Yeah, I mean the Wrong Turn franchise. I mean, it's you have to know what you're getting into when you watch one.
There is a Hellraiser connection, by the way. Doug Bradley is in one of them.
Part 5.
Anyway, yeah. So that's all we got to say, I think, about the new Hellraiser. Seth and I could probably talk shit all night long, but it's been about a little over an hour, so we're going to go ahead and sign off. We do have a show on Wednesday. Once again, we are talking about the Universal Horror Dracula films. So please come back and watch that. Remember to subscribe to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube if you haven't already. If you haven't liked the page, check that out. We're up over 20,000 now. That made me so happy. Happened, when was that? Late Saturday night?
Yeah, I think so.
We got a flood of new likes in late Saturday night. We were at like, I looked at it and it was at like 19,995. I was like, oh shit, 5 more. And then I looked again a few minutes later. It was like 19,999. I was like, oh my God. And then like we're up to 20,071. So we had kind of a jump, which is great. But we want more, and we want more people to watch the shows. We watch these movies, we discuss these movies, and it takes a lot of our time doing that. And plus, we're on air for a good 90 minutes every week. I think we're going later this week, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, so I think we're going at 7 Central, 8 Eastern, I think is what Nate said, because Nate is going to jump in a little late to give his thoughts on the Dracula series, because he's not going to be on the show, the full show. But anyway, anything else you want to say before we go?
Evil dies tonight, and we have such sights to show you.
Yeah, such sights to show you. I mean, that's one of the things about the Hellraiser and Doug Bradley is he's got some great fucking lines in the movies. His presence, like, he's only on screen for maybe 10 minutes of the original movie, but his presence is so, like, looming over the entire movie with the lines
and his voice too.
His voice was amazing.
He like when that's the great thing about like Doug Bradley will always be the Hell Priest. He will always be the Pinhead.
Yeah,
and it's because he has such a great presence. Like his voice, his I don't know, just his body language. Like I don't know, it's just great.
It definitely, if you're gonna be Pinhead. And I don't know if I haven't heard anything from Jamie Clayton, but I would study the fuck out of Doug Bradley's movements, his posture, everything, every mannerism as Pinhead. I would study the fuck out of him.
I mean, if you're gonna play if you're someone who's playing the Elliot Spencer version of Pinhead, yeah. But
good point.
In the case of Jamie Clayton, it's clearly not Elliot Spencer, and I kind of liked how she had different mannerisms. She's definitely not as like, she doesn't have the presence that Doug Bradley had, but she has her own things going on, her own nuances, and she does well with that. So
she did great.
See more from her.
Yeah, I hope they at least have another movie, maybe a couple. And if anybody sees this that has the power, put this in the theater. I'd go see it again. Terrifier made $1.2 million. Hellraiser has to make more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks for joining me tonight, Seth. We were going to do this on Saturday, but my day got fucked up anyway. So remember,
one day when all of us have seen it a time or two, maybe sometime in the near future, we could all do like a spoiler discussion or something.
Yeah, I'd like to do a spoiler discussion. Nate, if you're out there, game. Oops, excuse me. Didn't mean to do that. I did, but I didn't mean to do it on air. All right, so Wednesday, Dracula. It's woke as fuck, yo. It was good. Jamie Clayton was great. Anyway, that's all we're going to leave you with. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We will see you on Wednesday for our Universal Dracula show. The following Wednesday, we are doing Halloween Ends. And then the following Wednesday, we're doing Frankenstein movies. What did I just ask? If you want to do a Hellraiser spoiler show at some point in the future. Maybe next season. Because I think our shows are pretty well stocked up for the next 2 months. But anyway, yeah. So we've got Invisible Man we're going to be talking about, the Frankenstein movies, Halloween Ends, the Dracula movies. I want to talk about American Psycho at some point. There's all kinds of stuff we got on the docket. Some Christmas horror maybe. Maybe Garbage Day. I don't know. We'll see. One question I want to ask you, Seth, and Nate, and anybody watching. What do you think is the best, the greatest horror movie set on Christmas that isn't Black Christmas? I didn't listen. We played Clue. Awesome. Clue's awesome. You should watch the movie. Show your daughter the movie. My kids loved it. What do you think? I'm going to say Gremlins.
Gremlins is very strong.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though, I am kind of a sucker for Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I'm not. It's okay. The second one's way better.
The second one is the first one.
I know, pretty much. Nate says Gremlins. Speaking of that, tomorrow Gremlins. I will be releasing my top 10 of 1984. If you've been following along, I've been doing top 10s from every decade except for the 40s, which I'm going to go back and do. And then I decided to do a top 10 for every year of the 80s and doing 1984. And spoiler alert, Gremlins is number 2. Fear for... Gee, I wonder who made that one. Anyway, check that out. That's on Volumes of Blood Horror Stories if you want. It's on Tubi, I believe. Nathan Thomas Milliner did direct that one. Anyway, have a great night. We will see you on Wednesday, which is like 2 sleeps away, folks. 2 sleeps away, and you can see us again. Bye, Seth.
Evil Dies Tonight.